Hello, everybody, and welcome back to episode what we think is number 17 of Dudes Watch a Movie podcast. I am your host, the notorious GING, and with me, as always, is
the guy who never forgets to introduce himself. That's Brockett.
That's right. That's right. We are continuing on with Marvel March, as you can still see by everything on the table and on the mugs and on the shirts and not on Tom.
Nope. I know I let you guys down. Maybe I didn't let you down, but it is what it is.
Yeah.
We have a few less comics on the table, so
It's a little cleaner.
we're going for that cleanliness. And as you may have noticed, we have stepped up slightly for the most part. Audio.
Yeah.
It's a wonderful thing.
Yeah, it should sound a little bit better for your ears now.
Yes.
We can...
Maybe a little bit more juicy.
Does that make you feel nice? Is that good for you?
Just listen to the sounds.
You just want to stay there? That's right. All right, we're off to a good start.
Yes, absolutely.
The mic already paying dividends.
Yes. I want to thank you for that research, by the way. I'm going to... Yeah, no, I wouldn't have been able to find something like this. I probably would have went with the first thing Amazon's like, hey, you bought a mic.
Oh.
We also suggest you buy some of these and some of these.
I was really
Clearly,
confused what research you're talking about for a second. I was like, oh, okay, I'm with you. I'm with you. No problem.
No, looking up microphones and stuff. It's Amazon's smart. You immediately start looking up like microphone stands. It's like, oh, you probably need a webcam and a microphone and some cables and some headphones.
And then you owe Amazon like $900 for some reason. I don't know. Anyways,
Yes.
Along with the microphone setup and the nice mix board and all that fun stuff, there'll also be some differences in the private videos. Probably not going to have any more footage from the movies because I was looking through it and I noticed a lot of them have claims on them. None of them got a strike or taken down, but quite a few of them have claims on them.
Claims? Like
so
the clips or our actual videos?
Our videos. So there's, if you look in there on the video editor, like what only I can see, there's notations on some of them that say they've been monetized. So that means that the people that own that know that we're using it and then are monetizing it. Know what I'm saying?
They are monetizing it?
They are monetizing it. So that is kind of the precursor to getting a strike or a claim, is that they are recognizing that they own something that's being used.
Oh, so the company is getting their money because that's their stuff.
Yeah, so say if they claimed it on like our Big Lebowski one, whoever owns the stuff for that is monetizing it.
Gotcha.
So those probably won't be in there anymore. But
maybe for the best.
Yeah. On the other side, though, we did try and make it look a little bit nicer, more interesting, since you'll be only looking at our ugly mugs from now on. Yeah.
Yeah. Those mugs.
And if there's, I was thinking too, and maybe... Yeah, fuck it. We'll do it now. I was gonna say do it at the end, but we'll throw it out here while we still got the attention, you know.
Sure.
I was trying to think of what are some other things we can do, like some. I don't know about requests, but something that you folks at home might like. Like I personally, I like some of the trivia that you're digging on through there.
Yeah. Tidbits.
So, I don't know, maybe a whole trivia section, or maybe just splatter them in between as we go. I don't know. Or if you're wanting more, like, hey, that movie was a good movie. What other movies are like that movie? We can put that in there.
Some recommendations?
Yeah. Like
by the same directors, etc.
Or same actors, or would also like section at the end.
Engagement. Yeah.
And we haven't really talked that much, we did it on a couple of them, but we never really say that often, did we like this movie or not?
Oh, yeah.
I assume it's easy to pick up based on how we're talking about them throughout. But.
Well, technically we are picking, I guess if we were setting to the rules, it'd be a movie we haven't seen, not a movie we liked. But
you're the only one that cares about the rules. I'm a classic rule breaker. I'm a bad boy.
Rules are meant to be broken.
Yeah. You give me Japanuary and I'll give you a Chinese movie.
Following the format, he does not.
I have a problem with authority. My bosses love me.
Isn't that what, in college where you just didn't show up and then they're like, you're really smart, you just don't apply yourself?
That was high school. College didn't give a fuck that I didn't show up because I passed my tests. Anyways, so this week we're wrapping up a Marvel March.
Yes, back to the topic.
Yeah, Avengers 2, Age of Ultron.
2, which I don't know if you guys heard on that last one. I have not seen this one. I had seen the first Avengers and the third Avengers, but I have not seen the second one. Which, I mean, if you're trying to watch things chronologically, it's kind of important.
Yeah. Also, just like you heard on the last one, there is no such thing as the third Avengers.
What?
There's not a third Avengers movie.
Just because it doesn't say 3 in it, or?
Correct. It's Captain America: Civil War. It's a Captain America movie.
Okay, fair enough.
Thank you. Technically, the next Avengers movie would be Infinity Wars, but I don't know if they're calling it Avengers Infinity Wars. I cannot remember. They might just call it Infinity Wars. But I think they're prefacing it with Avengers.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah. I want to give them the old plot synopsis, or was it? Were you able to fully figure out what that was?
What?
The plot synopsis of the movie.
Oh, I mean, I figured it out.
You had a lot of questions about Ultron in the beginning. Like a lot.
Well, yeah, because I didn't know what Ultron was. I was just like, so after I've seen his little action figures everywhere, and I assumed he's just some sort of transformer looking dude, but I didn't realize Ultron was a big giant AI. Which kind of, I don't know. I didn't realize it was, so I just didn't know it was a thing made by Stark, basically. I had no idea. But anyway, I mean,
he's his Frankenstein, his monster.
You should read this plot synopsis. You can pick from any one of those since I have that open already.
Let's go with the IMDb plot synopsis by...
Not Jake Smith this time?
Not Jake Smith, no.
His name was?
Apple Natalia 9, because it's nice and short. The movie is as follows. Tony Stark creates the Ultron program to protect the world, but when the peacekeeping program becomes hostile, the Avengers go into action to try and defeat a virtually impossible enemy together. Earth's mightiest heroes must come together once again to protect the world from global extinction.
An AI going hostile, where have we seen that before?
No, you're not ringing any bells. No, I think it's the first time it's ever been done, honestly.
Oh man, how original.
Yeah.
What an idea.
Hey, nothing's original, okay?
It's okay, Google, we trust you. She's always
right. Yep.
I didn't even say hey. I guess I did say
It's okay. I was waiting for the answer.
That was spooky.
I don't know if you're fully settled in during the intro scene or not.
I mean, for the most part.
They're going through the force and everything.
Ish.
Yeah. That is one of the coolest things in any Marvel movie to me. I remember being in theaters and watching it, thinking the first Avengers obviously had their moments, like where it was like, oh, this is cool, they're all together. But that seemed like they had been together for a while at this point, and so they had more of a team chemistry,
like a unity thing to it.
Yeah, like they were able to weave in and out and attack multiple people, and the way it's shot makes it look like it's one continuous thing with the camera following and zipping this way and that way, and then
they were fighting with advantage.
Yeah, kind of. And then they have the scene where they jump over the roadblock and they all line up, and it looks like it would be like,
hero pose.
I was gonna say, how in comic books.
I've read comic books.
No.
I've read a decent amount.
You read graphic novels.
Okay.
But in most
excuse me,
in most real comic books,
okay,
they'll have somewhere towards the middle, it'll be 2 pages, and it'll like kind of carry over,
spreads over.
Yeah, it looked almost like that, the way their faces lined up, and
Saga does that sometimes.
Well, whatever. I thought that was super cool, and it was nice that like they were going back to fighting Hydra. I feel like across the movies, Hydra could have been more of a continuing enemy than they were.
I'm not gonna lie to you, I don't really know who Hydra is. I mean, I've heard of him everywhere. His logo's pretty dope, but I mean,
so Hydra's not a person.
Not him, but like I know it's an organization.
Yeah,
but it's led by someone, right?
Red Skull.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. I've heard of him, but
it's their Nazis basically.
Gotcha. Okay.
Or they're Russia, whoever the stand-in at the time is.
Is that because they showed up in Captain America movies?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that'd be why then. I don't know him. I've only seen the Civil War one. Yeah, honestly.
Yeah. The other thing with the intro, so they immediately have, like, yeah, that's cool. That's cool there too. Oh, look at them. They got some funny stuff going on. But then as soon as I hear Captain America say there's enhanced in the field, it just kills me, because I'm like, they're not enhanced. They're mutants. But they didn't own Fox yet, so they had to say it that way. Yeah. It just kind of bums me out.
Did it take you out of it?
A little bit. I was like, Captain America would say that. No. Captain America would say, hey, there's me.
He is enhanced.
See? That makes more sense to say Captain America's enhanced because it was a science project, not DNA.
That's true.
But now that I think about it, they do make a big deal about the twins being DNA or science experiments too. Everything's going to be better now that Marvel owns Fox. Or bought their stuff back from Fox, I should say. They don't own Fox.
Agreed. So, my first thing that I have on my notes, which I guess maybe it's because I haven't been paying attention, but I didn't aren't superheroes typically not supposed to be killing people left and right? Typically? Or is that just a DC thing, or is that just a Batman thing that I'm just generalizing over, or? It's
more of an individual hero basis. So, like,
a set of morals for that specific hero.
Yeah. Like, I mean, obviously, Batman never kills, even though he definitely does. Or Superman, shouldn't kill. But Spider-Man, if he has a chance, he never is going to kill someone. In the movies, they kill themselves more often than not. Daredevil will not kill people. But if you think about what S.H.I.E.L.D. is, it's a superhero juiced up version kind of like the CIA or the FBI, like the
covert agents thing like you were talking about. Okay.
Yeah. So, I mean, they would kill people all the time. They ideally will not, but if you send the Hulk after people, they're going to die.
Yeah, no.
Like, he's going to crush them.
Wasn't that like something they brought up upon it was the whole collateral damage thing too about the heroes? Mm-hmm. Okay. Which is why they wanted to shut him down in the third one, but not really the third one?
Okay. Yeah. So this one plays into Captain America Civil War heavily. And it's one of the things they have in the note here is just the amount of destruction they have is just, it's incredible. Like they're fighting in the middle of cities, destroying stuff, especially the Hulkbuster scene.
Mm-hmm.
That was just
through buildings.
A ton of casualties. Yeah. And they're already addressing it by the end when they make that big effort to get all the civilians evacuated.
Mm-hmm. They got the Stark supporters or whatever to...
Yep. And before they even go after Ultron, they're focusing on getting everyone off the floating piece of land. Which is nice because that's something in movies that once it's pointed out how much destruction there is, you can't not notice it.
Mm-hmm.
Also, in the beginning, they introduce you to Scarlet Witch.
Yep.
Which
and Quicksilver.
Oh, well, Quicksilver's was okay because he runs through, gets the enhance in the field, and it's like, what? You didn't see that coming? I'm so fast. But Scarlet Witch's intro is super cool. I don't know if I think you might have been writing a note when it happened, but Captain America's talking to that guy that was like, we will not surrender. And he's like, I'm going to surrender. He's talking to that guy in the hallway, and you just kind of see her in a dark open door behind him, but her eyes kind of flash red. And then she disappears in. But in the beginning, they're shooting her like she's in a horror movie, like they're cutting frames, so she's like doing that weird jerking motion and like speeding up and slowing down oddly. That's something I wish that they would have continued to do for her, like to really play up that witchiness,
spooky element.
Yeah, and when she's like going into people's brains and stuff, and they're playing really creepy stuff. When I was in theaters and they did that outer space bit that Tony Stark was seeing, that was fucking trippy. I was just like. I was like, oh no, we're in space. Oh, this screen's so big. That thing's flying over there. Oh God.
Yeah, I didn't quite understand her powers at first because, like, as you saw me asking all these millions of questions during the movie, I thought that she had corrupted his mind in a sense to where now because like when he takes the staff, like they just let him take it because Quicksilver wanted to stop him. And so I thought that was because she had set some sort of evil ways in his brain to kind of start something.
She saw into him, and I don't know if it was just the chaos in her that she wanted to see what he would do with it, but something about that she was like, oh, this will be interesting.
Gotcha.
Her power is more like a concentration based one, like she has to still be focusing on it to keep them in that. Otherwise I think it does wear off after a while. They were talking like after she was getting Thor and everyone else in the trip. She was like going 1-to-1.
Yep. Which, by the way, I really enjoyed that scene. That was everyone's kind of playing on the other darkest fears and whatnot. Mm-hmm. It was a nice touch.
I just wish that they would do more of that, because in Civil War, like, she does her cool like force field stuff, but she doesn't really do anything particularly witchy. And she's one of the most powerful people in the Marvel universe, so I want to see her fuck some stuff up.
Like, she's the Jean Grey of
she would fuck Jean Grey up. I don't know if Quinn watches this, but we'd be fighting after this. There's the House of M story arc. She gets really upset about something which I can't remember, and all she says is "no more mutants," and she eradicates 98% of the mutants on the planet.
Oh, Jesus!
Like, it's kind of
she meant what she said.
She's powerful. With you seeing the other movies, at this point you're used to all the main cast basically.
Yeah.
Like
Chris Evans.
Thank you. I don't know why I started with him.
Robert Downey Jr.
Yeah.
Mark Ruffalo.
Yep.
I got some Chris Hemsworth, Scarlett Johansson.
Yeah.
Oh, she's pretty. Jeremy Renner, James Spader.
Who is Ultron?
Yes. Which, by the way, might I say, being as the only time I've ever actually seen him in a film, I only said film, TV show, was in The Office, and then realizing, because when I looked him up on the IMDb, apparently he wowed the whole people when he was doing his little set, or I don't know what it's called.
Audition,
that's what it was. Not goofs, I don't need quotes, trivia. There was a part in there which doesn't surprise me. On his first day on set, the cast was so impressed by his performance that they applauded and cheered for him after his first take.
Yeah.
Which doesn't surprise me, because I feel like in The Office he is himself in the way that he talks and carries himself. But it's just such a... He even said in here how Joss Whedon picked him just because of just how well he just delivers everything. He just was like, you're going to do this. Voice. And so I feel like in The Office he is himself in that sense, but then he brought that to Ultron. Was that what he'd be technically called? Okay. Yeah, no, like he said in here, like in the trivia, just like he was just wowed right away. That doesn't surprise me.
He was one of the reasons I was really excited for the movie, because I was like...
Because one person?
His voice. Okay. He's got a really good voice, and I was like, especially like when he goes into those lower registers, this is the problem I have with Ultron. So as an idea, or as a thought, super cool. Like, what do? He's everywhere. He is the internet. You cannot shut the internet down. I just don't think they physically represented him well enough, if that makes sense. When he first is like that Stark bot that got destroyed, and
he's made up of pieces.
Yeah. He is super creepy and kind of terrifying, and his voice and his like the digital distortions and like there are no strings on me and all that stuff, and even that was weird. I was like, that's
what it says right here. James Spader was Joss Whedon's first and only choice for the role of Ultron because of his hypnotic voice that can be eerily calm and compelling, while also being very human and humorous.
And he does do that a bit towards the end, like, which might not help either.
It kind of takes you out just a little bit.
He looks too... It makes sense, but he looks too streamlined, too clean when he makes his own body. Yeah. Like, he's not as threatening anymore.
But he's improving.
Yeah, that's why it makes sense. But like that humor that comes out.
You want jagged edges to be more dangerous.
More dangerous looking. Like, come on.
More sharp angles. Which, I mean, even if he would have put himself into the Vision, though, that would have been even smoother looking.
But he wasn't trying to put himself into the Vision.
What was he trying to do? I
thought he was trying to
create himself a body.
No, I guess maybe, but he was trying to evolve mankind, which I think is his ultimate downfall. So the whole thing he's worried about, he wants to evolve mankind. He wants to improve mankind, take it to the next step. But where he fails is part of him trying to recreate mankind is he wants it to be living tissue. So that's why
the biological aspect of it.
The stuff that healed Hawkeye is what they kind of made him out of. And once they did that, he became enough of a blend of the two where Scarlet Witch was able to actually read into the mind at that point.
Mm-hmm.
And it also made him more human than robot, where a robot will follow the instructions. Human thinks on his own. So the Vision saw the kind of the idea or the plan that Ultron had, but he didn't have any of the other like previous notions of wanting to improve anything or wanting to make it better. He saw the good of humanity even in the flaw versus
why was
Ultron.
He trying to go in the biological aspect of it though? Because wasn't he already kind of that way, like as an AI? Because that's what they said, he was functioning like a brain.
But he wanted, for some reason, he was hung up on improving humanity instead of replacing humanity.
Gotcha.
So in his attempt to improve it by keeping it still a living kind of more organic biological thing.
Keeping the canvas but changing the way it is.
Yeah, and that ended up being the kind of the flaw that backfired him because when you're human, you choose.
Yeah.
Technically, he chooses too, but he wasn't choosing based on morality. He was choosing based on efficiency. But the human,
which is the machine way to think.
Yep. But Vision chose based on morality and possibility.
Gotcha. That makes a lot more sense.
Yeah. I was thinking about it real hard because other than that, like he would have crushed him if they didn't have Vision. Because Vision ultimately is kind of what helps them overcome. If he wasn't so hung up on improving humanity, he never would have created Vision. They might have been fucked.
Also, I didn't realize that No Strings on Me is actually from Pinocchio.
Because he wants to be a real boy.
Yep. Around 32 minutes, Ultron recites No Strings on Me, a song from Pinocchio, 1940. A Walt Disney film about an inanimate being who gains sentience. Ultron serves as a dark parallel of Pinocchio.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, I was imagining a puppet, but I was thinking more like freeing yourself from the master, but that also goes into the layer of becoming your own person. Very cool.
Making your own road.
There you are. Also along the lines of ways to make things cooler, I was thinking they don't do enough to make Iron Man cool. The idea of him having all those cool gadgets and weapons, I don't think they portray enough how they work. The scene at the beginning when they're going through the Hydra. No. When they're going through the Hydra thing and they do a kind of a first person view, you can see his
heads-up display.
Yeah, his HUD. You see kind of it tracking and showing like an inner working so that the rocket knows where to go. I think if they did more to show like what is actually processing, almost so, how in the Fast and the Furious, when they're like the original Fast and the Furious, when they're shifting and like hit the nitrous and they like do the zoom where it goes all the way through.
Internal engine scenes and stuff.
I think they could use with some of that. I think it would be kind of cool. I don't know why I had to laugh as soon as I brought up I want to say Fantastic Four now. God, I'm just thinking about all the bad movies.
Fantastic Four and the Furious.
Fantastic Four and the Furious.
Well, I mean, I think that I don't want to say, and this is just in my own opinion, but I think I don't want to say overplayed Iron Man, but the fact he's had 3 of his own movies and then just to focus on him for another 3 movies just would have been a bit much.
Well, it's not even that you have to focus on him, although he was kind of the main crux of this.
That would have taken up so much time, though.
You don't have to do it every single time, and I don't mean like show him make it, just when he's using something, show us like what it's doing and how it works. You know what I'm saying?
I suppose. I mean, they on my notes I have written that I didn't realize Captain America's shield was held onto his arm by like giant powerful magnets. So I mean, like that I could get, but like I guess being the only tech guy there, but he just has so many gadgets it just wouldn't make sense. Like the big giant flying thing that brings out the Hulkbuster, like that just seemed kind of random.
That was a contingency plan.
I mean, I understand what it was, but I was just like, that just looked kind of dumb.
I don't know if you know this, but Tony Stark is just Marvel Elon Musk. I mean, to the point where Elon Musk is in Iron Man 2. I just see him
as Marvel's Batman. He's rich.
They're buds in Iron Man 2.
Who?
Tony Stark and Elon Musk.
Did I miss this at some point?
Probably. They're at the race in Italy. Elon Musk is there and they like greet each other.
Oh.
Yeah. I mean, that's your bae. I figured you'd notice. Must not have been your bae yet.
He's just inspirational.
But, I mean, he's got more parallel to him than Batman, though, because he's kind of a playboy. He likes to shoot random shit into space, apparently. Advancing the science. Batman's not advancing the science. He's advancing his own crime fighting.
I mean, it's hard to do when you live in a city full of criminals and it's consistently dark and rainy and cold.
Invent some way to make it not dark, rainy, and cold.
I will say there's one thing I did notice. A way that I feel that they tried to ground the film in a sense of reality. Whereas, like, when you think of these movies, you think maybe it's like a future type setting or I don't something about him talking about the Banksy. They pulled a Banksy at the crime scene.
Yep.
Like, it's almost like, hey kids type of thing. I don't know.
Like a hip reference.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, at the same time settles it in like this is an actual universe that's taking place in your times, not like,
and it's not like a super
or something.
Not like a super out of date. Like Banksy was never like, oh man, it's fucking Banksy.
Right.
So it's enough to where the people that know are like, oh, that's cool, but not enough to where, like, if they were like making Pokemon Go jokes, where it'd be like, Jesus Christ,
Stop.
it's over.
You're gonna dab on
It's
them?
died. Oh my god. And that whole part was kind of interesting because around that same bit is where they kind of realized that it was kind of Tony Stark's fault. And that's where you get the first hint of the conflict that's going to be coming up in the next one is him and Captain America are kind of butting heads.
Yeah, they already got a little bit of tension going on in this one.
Yep, the sides are already kind of starting to form as to who's with who. And I like and I look forward to Infinity Wars because the Hulk will be back with Tony Stark, and I like their friendship because they're two scientific minds, and like when they're first trying to bring Ultron to life, like the way they're bouncing back and forth with each other's kind of knowledge is cool.
I kind of feel bad for his character though. Like, there are certain people who like him for his brain, but then it seems he's only useful when he's not himself.
Yeah, like at the end when she's like, I adore you, and then just,
but I need the other guy. Like, it's just like, that sucks.
Not really though, because she still likes the other guy.
Yeah, but it's just like you can't have one or the other. It's like you're having the logical, calm scientist or the chaotic beast. Yeah.
You know, this reminds me of something. The greatest superhero movie even ever made, has a very similar dilemma. In the 1996, 5 classic Batman Forever, Batman is competing with Bruce Wayne for the affection of Nicole Kidman. And at first she's like, I don't know, he seems kind of cool, but also there's this other guy. He's dark and dresses in black and has rubber nipples. How can I resist? But then by the end, she likes Bruce. And just by that same logic, by the end of Infinity Wars, Scarlet Witch is going to like Bruce.
Scarlet Witch?
She's going to like him too, but also, Black Widow.
Scarlet Witch.
Everyone's going to like Bruce.
I'm getting too caught up in your monologue. This is
I lost
March,
myself halfway through that.
Not DC December, if that's ever a thing.
You never know the difference.
I kind of do. I'm getting there in time.
So the soundtrack in this movie's fun.
Honestly, I didn't pay attention to it.
It's more noticeable at the beginning, but they do a lot of other genres. Like when they're working about making Ultron, there's like a jazz upbeat, like it sounds like it should have been from that movie about drumming with J. Jonah Jameson in it. Whiplash. Shout outs to Jordy. It's like a fast jazz drum style, and it's kind of cool how it's working. Towards the end, I mean, it becomes your more standard fare of like orchestra and all those dramatic
clashes.
And then at the party scene, they have some other fun music playing. I don't know. I enjoyed it.
Fair enough.
Yeah. Also, Andy Serkis is in this movie.
I don't know who that is.
That's Gollum.
Oh, right. That's his name?
Andy Serkis.
It's just not fitting for someone that looks like him.
What are you talking about? He looks like an Andy.
Andy Serkis. I don't know.
It's not spelled the same.
I know, but still. It's just... By the way, I did write a note on him. If he lost his arm like that, he would have passed out from blood and shock easily.
Yeah,
holy balls.
Not in the Marvel Universe, though.
Like, he not only did it get, cut off, it was torn off. Ow.
Accidentally, too.
I don't know if it was accidental.
It was a fit of rage.
He seemed pretty purposeful.
Well, he was holding him, but this is another cool thing about
Doesn't
Ultron.
he bring his other arm down on it? Like he's holding him and then
he rips it while he kind of has an outburst. I'm really torn with Ultron.
torn. His arm gets torn off.
Nice. I'm really torn because Ultron is, like I said, the thought of him's terrifying, but I don't know if the way they executed him worked 100% for me. And the biggest thing that I'm torn on is, since he's a creation of Tony's personality slips into Ultron a couple times. You can, I swear they even splice in Robert Downey Jr. saying some of those lines and like mixing them together.
Well, see, I think you're forgetting though that Ultron wasn't supposed to be that chaotic though.
That's what I'm saying. Like, if he's a full machine, he would not have had those emotions. But he was created by Tony, so Tony's personality leaks through on him. Like in those outbursts, his cadences and his delivery is very similar to what Tony would say. He even beats him to that joke.
That's right.
About cracking a few omelets.
A few more seconds, I would have said that.
Yep. And I'm really torn because that's really cool, but it also is a little bit of what takes away from his scare factor, because it makes him more human. It makes him like, oh, he's joking around. He's got puns.
Right.
And there's quite a bit of those in this movie too. A lot of jokes like, oh, he said a bad word.
But I mean, would have that Ultron program been near as bad had he not used the little saber thing to because doesn't he use that to basically boot it up?
Oh, the Tesseract?
Yeah.
That's where he gets Ultron from in general. So because they look at it and they're like, what's it look like? It looks like a brain. It looks like it's living. So they fuse that with the work that they had already done on Ultron.
Yeah.
That's basically what Ultron is. He's what that Tesseract had within it.
Gotcha. So I thought it was an AI program altogether, and it just kind of got corrupted by the Tesseract.
The cube is able to kind of take over their mind, like when they tap it to the people's chest.
Gotcha.
So it's already got a living thought process. They just put that into the technology.
Has its own agenda.
Yeah.
Okay.
So he's basically the processor.
Gotcha.
If that makes sense.
Yeah.
That's where I'm torn on. So I don't know. Like, how do you feel about Ultron? Like overall, especially in terms of him versus some of the other villains like that have been in the movies.
I mean, he feels like he'd be almost too OP in the sense that he is all that is internet and connectivity. Mm-hmm. And so I don't think, I mean, for being as strong as he was, I feel like he should have been, I don't want to say stronger, but like how they were wiping him out, like robot. I figured he would have had backups, like he would have
cloud
spread
storage
stupid fast. Whereas they just kind of eradicate him off of this chunk of land that supposedly all of him is on.
The big thing with that too is, and I don't remember exactly how they do it, but it has to do with Jarvis. Basically, they shut him out of the internet, so he can't spread, and then it's just a matter of wiping out the remaining bodies that are there.
That, and I was kind of disappointed with his upload time into the Vision's body. Like, you'd think something like that would have just done.
Yeah. Especially with the like supercomputer, but I mean, it's a movie, not a comic.
Gotta add the tension. Gotta have the suspense.
And it is cool when Thor comes down and just, which I think also might be part of why Vision ended up being good. He was a product of Thor, kind of.
Oh yeah, because he was overloaded.
Yep.
That makes sense.
It's also partially why he's able to lift that hammer, I think. I mean, he's worthy,
a little
he's
bit of
pure,
that right?
He's also got a little bit of Thor in him.
I did like that little scene though, where Chris Evans Captain America almost kind
shakes
of
it a little bit.
He's just like,
oh no, didn't move it at all.
It does kind of bring into light though, after watching Thor Ragnarok, that hammer is just now gone.
Yeah.
Just got vaporized just by done.
Which is kind of insane
to think about.
Yeah.
Mjolnir is gone.
Especially how much he leans on it in this movie. Like, that's all he hits people with is his hammer. He barely does any lightning stuff.
I mean, what's going to be his cool weapon now? I mean, he's going to have his lightning, yeah, but like,
that's
everybody has their own thing.
He's probably just going to go straight lightning. Just chuck lightning bolts. I don't know.
I mean, Captain America's got a shield, but he's got his strength. Stark's got his brain, he's got his machines. What's Thor got?
Maybe
lightning?
he'll...
And?
Maybe he'll get like something that belonged to Odin, or I don't know. Fuck Thor. Other things on this movie in terms of kind of calling back to the previous episode, how I wanted that movie about Idris Elba. This is a movie that they are making, and after watching this, I can't wait for it. The Black Widow movie. I'm kind of hoping it's flashback to her time as a spy.
I really liked that little bit when she was having her mind corrupted, where you kind of learn how she. I didn't realize that she was a dancer, but also like a secret killer with a dancer.
I think that's just part of their training is to be like, because in Russia, like the ballet for some reason is huge, and it help her blend in and get to like those higher end things. And I mean, also would help with like her agility and things like that.
Yeah.
But it is another kind of interesting aspect of this movie that they bring back to a couple times, that some of the members of the Avengers are monsters themselves. Like, the most obvious one is the Hulk.
Yeah.
But I mean, she was a trained killer, and she killed a ton of people. Some people got mad because she says I'm a monster because she got spayed, neutered.
Spayed.
They're saying she's a monster because she can't have babies, but I don't think that's. I think she's leaning more towards like I fucking killed people. Right. I was a robotic killer. Tony Stark obviously is a monster too. Like, he can't help himself. In the advent or the progression of science, he will throw humanity under the bus.
Do you think they're gonna go the route of like Deadpool and Logan, where they're gonna make it like a visceral movie?
If they do that, Black Widow's the one to do it with.
I hope so, because that would be. Whew. Don't get me wrong, I don't condone violence, but I tell you what, it really, I don't want to say humanizes, but really kind of brings into the situation, the gravitas of how insane and gritty she is as a character. And
that's a big, like a long-standing kind of argument for seeing more rated R movies. PG-13 obviously can go to a wider audience, so they tend to make more money on PG-13 movies. But part of getting those PG-13 movies is sacrificing kind of the consequences of the violence.
The realism.
Yeah, so like a lot of times you'll see PG-13 action movies, they're not cutting out the amount of people they kill. They're cutting out the reaction to being shot.
Yep.
So you'll see people go bang, bang, and maybe they'll start to move and they'll cut. You won't see the blood come out. You won't see them laying there in pain. So
I guess the Quicksilver had a couple bullet holes with little blood, but it's nothing. A little bit, yeah. It was toned down.
It's just... it's also kind of part of the argument that some people have as to the desensitization of violence is that we don't show the consequence anymore. We just show the action. Makes sense. I tend to agree. I think John Wick is a perfect example of seeing how brutal it can be. Like, if
it's not too overly the top gory either, though. But I mean, it
you
gets the message across.
Yeah. It's part of why Deadpool, I think, works more so to Logan, though, because Logan, you see the brutality of cutting arms off.
It makes sense. The guy's got claws. It's gonna do something.
It's gotta happen. There's actually, it's almost like all these movies are the same. But in Thor, you had the big Hulk fight scene, and this one you have another big Hulk fight scene. This one with the Hulkbuster. Honestly, I think Thor Ragnarok was a bit more entertaining.
A lot better.
But I remember first time I saw this, like, this is the moment I was waiting for. Because
Were you let down?
No, it's still really cool. It's just not as cool as Thor's.
No.
But they made a big thing about, oh man, it's the Hulkbuster. Hulk and Iron Man are gonna fight. And I was like, oh my fucking god, yes, let me see the Hulkbuster. And they destroy a bunch of stuff, and the repeated
fist.
That is hilarious.
Go sleep.
And then, like, I'm sorry. I mean, it's fun, but it's just not. It doesn't live up to what happens in Thor Ragnarok with just two super beings punching each other.
Two essential gods.
Yeah. I mean, science can try as much as it can, but when you're going against that, no.
On the topic of suits, I have written in my notes. So, like, heroes have costumes, suits, and then, like, when you think of it in real life, when people wear suits, people look at them and they think, that's weird. Why are you doing that? Like, do heroes feel that way about it? Like, I mean, it's... Like, I was thinking mostly with Captain America. Like, he wears this whole getup that's, like, very extra. And obviously, it's, like, a battle suit. But, like...
And His originally started as part of a propaganda thing.
I just feel like walking around in a suit would just kind of be like, it's a little gimmicky.
Yeah. Well, the other thing, though, is people can dress super weird or they can do really oddball things, but if they back it up, people stop caring.
I suppose.
Like, if anyone tries to dress like a rock star that's not a rock star, they look like a fucking idiot. But if you go on stage and shred, people stop caring. Like rappers, if you have your face tatted and you have rainbow dreadlocks and grills and you say, like, you look like an idiot unless you do it over a fire beat. Like, then you're cool.
Drowns it out.
That's how that works. You just have to prove that you're a bad enough motherfucker to pull it off, which luckily most superheroes do.
For the most part, yeah.
But then you got Moonmon Man.
Then you got Daredevil. I'm just saying, a full leather red suit. Do you imagine how bad that smells when he takes it off after fighting?
First of all, it's probably not leather. That was the Ben Affleck version.
That's what I'm talking about.
Which I'm starting to wish I'd made you watch now. Anyways.
Yes, moving on.
After Thor creates the vision, he says, I had a vision.
I did.
It sounds like a proud mama.
Right. I know the part when Black Widow, she gets imprisoned at some point.
Oh, yeah.
How is she allowed to tinker? Why is in her jail cell? Because she sends like the Morse code to...
I think she's got her arms tied still. She just got it.
Oh, she's like in there. Like she's in a jail cell. She's not tied up or anything. But she was like tinkering, making like communication devices.
I do not recall. I do not know.
Oh.
I would assume it is Ultron's hubris. Saying, too bad, we got you. You can't do nothing now.
I figured he would have known better.
Can we also talk about his master plan and how a little over the top it is?
What?
I'm gonna move an entire chunk of the city and then just drop it like an asteroid.
Yeah, I mean it's not practical, but
like the science makes sense. Like he wants to destroy it, and like just like the dinosaurs, and he talks about.
I did put that in there. It doesn't make sense because like. Yeah, the magnetic field is holding everything together.
See, it's not the science that bothers me, because it's also a world where, like, people go to space and have spaceships, and Tony Stark can shoot like 1 million rockets that don't appear to actually be held anywhere. It's an entire city. Like, a giant chunk of floating mass. Is it not a little unnecessary? Couldn't they have figured something else out?
Go out with a bang.
Oops. I guess. I don't know. That was just...
Physics just doesn't exist in this world.
The alien invasion was cool. I really like Vulture. I think I prefer it more when it's a person you're trying to fight, not like a race against the clock. It's Armageddon, man. That's all it is. They're like, we gotta drill these cores. I don't know. Something about the impending doom of getting hit by a piece of chunk or a chunk of rock that was just floated out into space doesn't work for me. Something that I thought about way more on this viewing than my initial one in theaters years ago. When I first got out of the theaters, I was like, that was the best movie ever. It was so good.
For its time, 2015. Yeah.
Watching it again, I'm just like, I have so many questions. Why? Why is this happening? Why is the entire Earth being lifted? I don't know. How did he even think of that? There has to be more efficient ways to wipe out humanity. Why does he want to wipe out humanity? Doesn't he want to replace them and improve them? Does he not want them to see their improvement? So many questions. Too many questions.
If you guys know, answer in the comments below.
Yeah. I don't know. Do you have anything else?
Not really. I mean, I did write the part where he ripped,
Captain America?
No, I think it's Scarlet Witch. Does she rip the heart out? Or was it?
Yes, she does.
Yes, I thought that was kind of clever.
She rips out whatever it is.
Just boom. I was like, ooh, revenge.
Yeah. I kind of hope she turns evil.
I foresaw her being evil regardless.
She would be someone worthy of them all fighting against, like, her actual powers when she, like, down the line. And speaking of down the line, at the very, very, very end, everyone goes their own way. And then they make like a big, like, triumphant, it's okay, I think the future will be ready. And they insinuate this is the next wave of them. And then Captain America Civil War came out. and it was all about the same people again. The other guys are still there, but they are not the focus.
I did read a little bit into the trivia, though, that the Joss Whedon did want to include Spider-Man in this one, but they did not due to timing issues.
They just missed the window of being able to get him in.
Ooh, that's too bad.
And then I also got the 9/11 scene is kind of weird to watch. After the building he puts the Hulk through, and then it's collapsing, and like they have the dust come out, and the camera is like looking almost like live, like home recording of what's going on. That was a little weird.
Yeah.
And then the last thing I have is that Linda Cardellini, Hawkeye's wife. I was really happy every time I see her in that movie because she's in Freaks and Geeks, and she's also Velma and Scooby-Doo, and she was Sam in ER, and I loved her in all three of those. Yeah.
Fair enough.
Yeah. And that's pretty much everything I have.
Yeah, same. I will admit, though, when Ultron was taking that chunk of Earth, he was trying to create a flat Earth. Because he just took a big old chunk of that flat piece. And he was going to flatten the Earth with it. It was a stretch. It's just like that's relevant to the videos I was watching that day.
All right, so this was the last episode of Dudes Watch Movie Podcast. I want to thank everyone out there for sticking with us this long. It's been a fun journey.
Oh boy, has it.
I can't do this anymore.
It's terrible, I know. It's a struggle living here.
All right, let's wrap it up.
Yes.
I'm ashamed of you.
I know, it's okay.
What was your what the fuck moment?
My what the fuck moment. It was hard for me to actually come up with one because there's not a lot of scenes in this that are very what the fuck, other than maybe that Earth part. But I wrote down was the scene with drinking with the old man when Thor was drinking with the guys.
That's a good one with Stan Lee. That's a good one.
I just enjoyed the guy in the background who's just like
frozen.
He just didn't move. He's like, I don't think you guys can handle this. This isn't made for mere mortals.
I had the same issue. I was like, shit, I don't know what my what the fuck moment was. There was nothing like really odd or out of place. There was nothing that was like, oh, what the fuck, that's so cool.
That's
or
problems
that's so
with
messed up.
decent movies.
That's true. I ended up going with the Thor in the pool subplot, where he goes and gets that guy, and he's like, it's going to be dangerous. And he's like, oh, would it be you if it wasn't? And they go into the cave, and he goes in the pool and finishes the rest of that vision he had.
Oh, right.
Which makes him go make Vision. It just seems really out of place, and everything I've heard, the studio forced Joss Whedon to put that in there so that they could set up something down the line, which is a big reason that he ended up not going back after that, is he was tired of kind of the studio forcing certain things to be in there, even though it's kind of a detriment to the movie. I think it's the same problem that Edgar Wright had and caused him to back out of Ant-Man.
Gotcha. Okay.
I think now they're letting directors kind of have more of their own creative input on it, like with the way Ragnarok came out and like the Guardians movies.
It's going to be the person who's making the movie. Yeah. Why would the studio have control over
I think
director's dream?
Well, I mean,
vision.
In the hierarchy, nothing's higher than the producing studio.
I mean, it makes sense, but
they're the ones that put all the money in it. It's the director's vision, but it's the studio's product. So they get final cut on a lot of things. There are certain times where a director will have in their contract, I get final cut. But most of the time it's the studio, and especially when it's a studio like Disney and Marvel, they got lots of power.
Got a lot of money.
But I think now they've kind of relaxed that a bit. It makes sense on their end because they're trying really hard to make it all interconnected and things make sense, but there was a point where they were trying too much to be like, this is going to be referencing something that'll come 3 movies down the line. We have to have it now so that then it makes sense.
Or in a Netflix TV show.
Yeah. The Incident. I lost my train of thought, so we'll go on to the next part.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, favorite scene.
Favorite scene, fighting with Hulkbuster. The fine-tuned fighting of a machine versus chaos. That is the Hulk. Just that whole Tony Stark's like, I've got all this machine and all this stuff I went into to basically fight someone who is just pure chaos. Like, that's the battle of the two forces. I kind of enjoyed that.
Brain versus Brawn.
Yep.
Very cool. I went with the opening scene, the raid on the Hydra camp.
Makes sense.
I like the feeling that it gives me and the music, and it's a live action comic book. But there's a bunch of scenes. That was the one that stuck out the most to me. I also like the one where she rips his heart out. And it's like, You ripped my heart out. This is how it felt. Like, all right. Bitch got some crazy in her. And finally, what's your MVP?
Hawkeye. Mostly because in a lot of movies and films, I always kind of shoot for the underdog, which is typically what movies are about. But I just liked him because he was more down to earth. Like, he's got a family. He's got a thing on the side. Like, he's not an over-the-top superhero. Like, his thing is mostly he can hit the target every single time. And so it's not too unbelievable to think that someone like that could actually exist because it's, like I said, more ground to earth.
And then they do take some liberties, but it's not like, I mean, he took down a helicarrier with one arrow and he shot that one without looking.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's not like he's shooting super heat rays through his eyeballs. So I get you.
And stuff, yeah. So
and I liked so first of all, he says, I don't have a girlfriend, which is true because he has a wife. And then he's like, oh, I'm calling my girlfriend. He's like, oh shit, now everyone has to know. So this is my wife. And these are my kids.
Take you to the safe house.
But I liked that you got to see more of him because he really is normally kind of a background player in terms of who gets the most screen time. But I like that they kind of fleshed that out, and then his relationship with Black Widow. Like they all call her Nat, and they talk about her like she's not some super psycho killer.
What is his relationship with her? I mean,
they've just been partners and they've worked together for a long time.
Okay, because I noticed that in like previous, I thought there was some sort of tension, but obviously if Hawkeye has a wife, then
it's more just long time friends.
Gotcha.
My MVP. Got a guess? That's right, Scarlet Witch.
No, I wasn't guessing.
Yeah, she's still another one of those ones where maybe in this movie might not deserve it as much, but just in terms of the character and the potential, fuck yeah. So I liked her creepiness. I liked the little vision she was doing, and then when she started fighting people, it was all good.
I thought you were gonna say James Spader.
He was a close one. His voice was a close one. I was gonna specifically do his voice.
That's good.
Yeah. But that will do it for this episode of Dudes Watch a Movie podcast.
Recorded on microphones.
Yeah, for the first time ever. Also live in stereo. Oh shit. Next month on the 1st, we will be seeing you again. There should be a
poll created in the group at some point, hopefully, if not tonight, tomorrow.
What's next month again?
Next month's April.
April, right. So we've got some options of Ash April, the Evil Dead movies, or 420 April.
I believe I have an Evernote with this on here.
But there'll be
I didn't go that far back. That far soon.
Yeah. You'll see the poll. Keep up the good work because so far I've enjoyed your results, especially this month. Again, I don't tell anyone, but I really like Marvel.
I can't tell.
Yeah. Anyways, thanks for watching, especially if you've made it this far. We appreciate you, and we'll see you next month.
See you.
Bye.